All right, welcome everyone to today's CPWR webinar on trends of fall injuries and prevention in the construction industry. My name is Jessica Bunting. I'm the Assistant Director of our Research to Practice program and serve as the host and tech support for our webinars. Today I will also be presenting along with Sue Dong, Director of CPWR's Data Center. I'm going to get us started with some background information, after which Sue will cover the bulk of our presentation on trends and patterns of fatal and non-fatal falls. Finally, I will summarize some results from our social network analysis of the falls campaign, and we will take some time at the end of the presentation to answer questions. You can enter your questions in the Q&A or chat box at any time during the presentation. We will do our best to answer all of them at the end. All right, as some of you probably know, CPWR is one of three main organizers, along with OSHA and NIOSH, of the National Campaign to Prevent Falls in Construction. The campaign began in 2012 with construction industry stakeholders seeking a way to raise awareness around falls, since falls from heights are the leading cause of injuries and fatalities in construction. The campaign's goal was preventing fatal falls from roofs, ladders, and scaffolds by encouraging construction contractors, especially the small residential contractors whose employees are at a higher risk, to plan ahead to get the job done safely, provide the right equipment, and train everyone to use the equipment safely. The annual Safety Stand-Down event was added in 2014, and the 2019 Stand-Down just took place May 6th through 10th. So what you're looking at on this slide is a screenshot of the campaign website, stopconstructionfalls.com, which has tons of resources and information on fall prevention and how to hold a safety stand-down. One thing I do want to highlight that's on that website is the CPWR Fatality Mapping Project. We initiated these fatality maps in 2011, and in support of the Falls campaign, created a fall fatality map in addition to one showing all fatalities. The interactive maps are located on CPWR's Stop Construction Falls website at the link on the slide above. Using a combination of OSHA inspection data and mass media reporting, the map is the graphic representation of construction fatalities in the U.S. By clicking on the pinpoints, users can locate where a construction worker lost his or her life on the job and learn how the incident happened and how the information was gathered. Currently, the maps include about 5,000 cases and about 1/3 was fatal falls. And with that, I will hand it over to Sue to go over the trends in fatal and non-fatal falls as covered in the quarterly data report.
Thanks, Jessica, for your nice introduction. In addition to the fatality maps Jessica just introduced, we have done several studies on fall injuries to support the National Fall Prevention Campaign. These studies have been published as peer-reviewed journal articles. We also reported updated statistics in CPWR Quarterly Data Report. One report was published in 2017, and the new one was just posted on the CPWR website. We added more details in the new report, such as fatal falls by establishment size, occupation, and age group. We want to show the difference in fatal falls among sub-construction worker groups. We also included recent findings from a social network analysis of the reach of the fall campaign, which Jessica will cover in her presentation.
Okay, so in addition to help you to understand this study, I'd like to talk about some background information and to show how the changes in the construction employment and the demographics affect fatal and non-fatal fall injuries among construction workers. This chart shows you the trend of construction employment across all these years. If you look at the numbers, you will notice that in 2017, the total employment in construction reached nearly 11 million, and still about 1 million less than the numbers before the recession. However, if you look at the numbers among construction Hispanic workers, you can see that the numbers in already exceeding its level in 2007. As a result, the Hispanic workers accounted for about 30% of construction employment, the highest level since 1990. Much higher again than the number in 2007. All of you already know that construction industry have a lot of small employers. In most of our publications, we reported the relative major categories. In this chart shows a large number of construction establishments have only fewer than 5 employees. Since we are unable to match this category with the injury data, that's why usually we have to combine the 3 categories as 1 to 19, so to match the injury data sources. Overall, more than 90% of construction payroll establishments have fewer than 20 employees. We published these results in our previous quarterly data report. This is based on the survey conducted by Dodge and Analytics. That's a joint project between the Dodge and the CPWR. We analyzed that survey and we found small employers lag behind large employers in most of these safety and health measures we used in the study. So as a result, you can see the huge difference between small and large employers in the injury data I will show you later. Another important thing is that the change in construction demographics. Typically, construction workers were younger than the overall labor force in the United States. However, that is not the case anymore. From 1986 to the most recent years data we can get, that's 2017, you can see the huge increase on average age of construction workers that jumped 6.4 years in 3 decades. In 2017, the average of construction workers even exceeded the average of overall labor force in the United States. And the trend of the aging workforce will continue. According to the BLS employment projection data, by 2026, about 1 of 4 U.S. workers will be 55 and older. So the data will show you why the injury data I will show you in the following that's why I'd like to just show this data in demographics and employment. Trends of fatal and non-fatal falls, and I should include the word patterns. In 2017, more than half of fatal falls to a lower level occurred in construction. Probably you know that the construction workforce only accounted for about 6% and less than 7% of overall U.S. labor force, and less than 20% of overall fatalities. Over this time, the numbers dropped. The number of fatal falls in construction dropped and increased along with the economic cycles. But if you look at the line for the rate of deaths, you would see the lines are relatively stable and even a little bit declined in 2017. The falls from the roofs accounted for about 1/3 of fatal falls to a lower level. Overall, from roofs, ladders, and scaffolds, staging accounted about 3 or 75% of the overall fatal falls to a lower level in the construction industry. I show you the slides on small employers in the construction industry. Now you will know why I'd like to show that first. From these slides, you can show about 70% of fatal falls in construction occurred among the small employers with fewer than 20 employees, despite a shared less than 40% of employment. This employment only counted payroll employment because for the non-payroll or self-employed, they did not have any employees, so they were excluded from these calculations. It's very clear. You can tell workers in the small employers share in the face of much higher risk. By occupation, that roofers still had the highest rate of fatal falls, while laborers had the largest number of fatal falls. So we measure the rate and the numbers separately. Laborer, you know that is the largest occupation in the construction industry. In this report, we included more statistics by construction occupations. Year to year, despite the fluctuations over time, we can see that both number and the rate of fatal falls among roofers dropped in 2017. In the previous chart, we showed roofers still had the highest rate of fatal falls in construction. However, we saw some sign of decline. This may be a good news for us. So the rate of fatal falls decreased to 25% among construction laborers from 2017, which is 5.6 per 100,000 FTEs, and to 4.2 deaths per 100,000 FTEs. Why? I think maybe because everyone, including you, the effort for the protection. By demographic groups, between 2011 to 2017, the number of fatal falls increased about 65% among Hispanic workers and 29% among non-Hispanic workers. Now you know why I show you the slide on the employment in construction. In terms of the rate, foreign-born workers, Hispanic workers, and self-employed workers had a higher risk of fatal falls than the average of construction workers. That tells us which groups should be targeted. Rate of fatal falls also increased with age. The red line showed that very clear. Even the older workers, about 65 years and older, the shares, not that big proportion of the construction workers, the rate is so high, jumped to 13 deaths per 100,000 FTEs. Not only the rate increased among older workers, the patterns are also quite different. This chart showed older construction workers had a much higher risk of fatal falls from ladders than younger workers. Why? Many reasons could contribute, including the aging and the older workers usually that may be more difficult for them to keep a balance. So, and maybe something else. We need more studies on this. We did have the paper on older workers from fall injuries, but I think more studies are definitely needed. We compared to the fatal injury statistics, we had less information on non-fatals because we are unable to break it down by the detailed categories we showed in fatalities. So this chart showed that construction helpers had the highest rate of non-fatal injuries, while construction laborers had the largest number of non-fatal falls. I think that's basically statistics I'd like to share with you. Let's look at the highlights. Workers had small employers, which means those employers had fewer than 20 employees, accounted for 75% of fatal falls in construction payroll employment. The risk of fatal falls for roofers was 10 times that of all construction combined, but both the number and the rate dropped in 2017. The rate of fatal falls among construction laborers decreased by 25% between 2011 and 2017. 75% of fatal falls involved roofs, scaffolds, and ladders, but all the construction workers had a higher risk of fatal falls from ladders than younger workers. That's what I'd like to share with you in terms of the injury statistics and the background information. And now I'd like to turn this to Jessica. Jessica will will talk about the reach of the national campaign to prevent falls in construction. And Jess, that's your time, please.
Thanks, Sue. Okay. So one of the ways we have evaluated the reach and impact of the Falls campaign is through a method called social network analysis. Eileen Beatty, director of the R2P program, is actually on the call with us today, and she was instrumental in selecting and executing the social network analysis. She will be available to participate in the Q&A. So using this method, we set out to determine what organizations are a part of the campaign network and how are they working together, what are the benefits and challenges of participating in the campaign, who are the audiences that the campaign is reaching, who are the potential audiences that it could reach through its partners, and what encourages partners to become and remain involved. So before I get into how social network analysis helped us to answer those questions, it's important to understand what it is and the tool that we use. So a social network is a group of individuals or organizations connected by different types of relationships. Social network analysis looks at those connections in terms of nodes, or the individuals or organizations in the network, and their ties, or the lines on the chart that you see that show relationships that connect them. So by looking at these relationships, we are able to see how these connections lead to other connections and expand our reach and influence. We reached out to Dr. Danielle Varda to help us with this project, in part because we were interested in using the partner tool, which she developed back in 2007 with a grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. The partner tool provides a systematic way to collect and analyze information about networks and to use that data to improve collaborations. Since it was developed, the tool has been continuously improved and is used widely in support of public health with more than 750 groups worldwide. So who is part of the Falls Campaign Network? We ended up identifying 157 organizations that are included in the core group of campaign partners. All of those people were sent a survey, and of them, 49% responded. One of the questions in the survey asked the partners to list all of the organizations that they work with around the campaign, and from that, the 77 who responded identified 117 new partners not on our original list. So those new partners were not surveyed, but the number demonstrates the full size and scope of the campaign network. This brought the total number of organizations identified as being a part of the network to 274. And on the right, you can see the breakdown by type of organization, with the largest categories being academic, government, and research, contractors and contractor associations, and manufacturers and suppliers. We also wanted to know who those partners are reaching with the Falls campaign. So they were asked to estimate their organization's reach. This slide shows the total numbers of individuals reached by each partner type, and partners reported reaching anywhere from 36 to 2,500,000 individuals. And just a note, these counts do exclude the 3 lead organizations, which again is CPWR, OSHA, and NIOSH. Okay. The partnerships led to 951 campaign-related activities, including several that highlighted the strength of the campaign's information sharing network, such as sharing information between organizations, which is selected by 85% of partnerships, specifically providing fall prevention information or materials to another organization, 76% of partnerships, and promoting the Falls campaign, 70% of partnerships. When asked about the impact, those surveyed reported a number of positive outcomes. Oh, sorry. Okay. Some of those positive outcomes included improving their organization's capacity to address falls, an improved working relationship with another organization, and increased knowledge on how to prevent falls. Some of the outcomes that show more measurable impact on falls, such as led to increased compliance with safety guidelines or standards and reduced the number of fall-related injuries, were reported less frequently, but we were still very happy to see them on the list. Looking at the impact another way, 75% of respondents said they've seen a great deal or fair amount of the increase in fall prevention activities within their organization or the industry as a whole because of the campaign, and 72% noticed improvements in overall safety and health. We also, in addition to the social network analysis, measure participation in the campaign a number of other ways. A past QDR from a couple of years ago actually highlighted our 2014 to 2016 evaluation reports that are based on OSHA's Certificate of Participation data, for example. And another measure we have is the number of orders CPWR receives for stand-down materials each year. So we began promoting and tracking orders of the pocket-sized print versions of our 4 fall-related hazard alert cards in 2014 when the stand-down began. And then in 2015, we introduced stand-down hard hat stickers. In 2017, we created an online ordering form which allowed us to promote the stickers and cards more widely. And as you can see on this table, the demand has greatly increased each year, with hazard alert card orders nearly doubling every year since the online ordering form was introduced. So you'll see there are asterisks by the number of hard hat stickers distributed in 2018 and 2019. I just wanted to note that while these are the numbers ordered through the forms, we actually ran out of hard hat stickers each year as they were also disseminated through events, meetings, and other avenues. In 2018, we gave out 300,000, and in 2019, we distributed 350,000 hard hat stickers. I'm still working on pulling more data on company size, activities, et cetera, and I'll have more to share on CPWR's reach in the future. That information will be available in Stop Construction Falls, along with the past reports that I also mentioned. We are also working on generating success stories from some of the order form submissions that will be posted in stopconstructionfalls.com as well to provide other companies with ideas. So in summary, we learned several positive things about the campaign, including that it reaches diverse organizations, has a large reach in terms of numbers and types of audiences, and there's a high level of engagement and activity, and it's become an effective information sharing network. And some take-home messages from the QDR and presentation overall include that the fall prevention campaign has seen improvements in fall protections. The rate of fatal falls showed signs of decreasing. Hispanic, foreign-born, and older workers in small companies, and roofers still have a high risk of fatal falls. Enhanced fall protection efforts should be targeted and available for small employers. And most importantly, falls are preventable. We must continue our efforts to decrease the rate of both non-fatal and fatal falls. And with that, Sue, Eileen, and I are available for questions, and I see a bunch of them coming in. So let's go ahead and get started. Our first question is there any data on the type of roof the falls occur from? For example, a flat roof versus a low-sloped versus a steep-sloped roof?
Oh, yes.
Sue?
We have that. Mm-hmm. Can you hear me there? Yes.
I can.
Yeah.
And is that available in any published document?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah, we have a publication. We have a peer-reviewed journal papers on fall from a roof. We had very detailed information in that article. If you are interested, please contact me. I can send a copy of that article to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue. Okay, our next question is how many hard hat stickers can a company order? And to that, we may be instituting different limits in the future, but how we've handled it thus far is there is a limit of, I believe, 1,000 on the ordering form. However, there are instructions to contact us for larger bulk orders, which we've been happy to accommodate. We also this year started sending out the artwork for companies to be able to print the stickers on their own once we've run out or if we don't have enough available. Our next question for Sue. Are there data about fatality rates by tenure of workers? That is, how long they have been on the job.
Yes, we have that. Yeah, we do, but not included in the quarterly data report. We publish that in our papers, peer-reviewed journal articles. Yeah.
Is that in the same article?
Yeah, that is the data. Yes, that data showed, our findings showed the younger workers and those with this short tenure with the employers had a higher risk of injuries.
Okay. Why don't we, if I can get a link to where folks can get that article, I can just include it in the follow-up email. For those who were not on the call initially, I will be sending out a follow-up email that has a recording and a presentation, and I can include other links to additional resources as well.
Yeah, we have several papers on false. It's peer-reviewed journal articles. I will send those to those. I will forward that to Jess, and Jess can send a linkage. I'm not sure if we are able to share the whole copy, but at least they know where they can find that information. Yeah.
Yes, we'll send out the links.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A question about the hard hat stickers. Would it be beneficial to CPWR to know how many hard hat stickers companies print on their own? The answer is yes, absolutely. Again, we are trying to evaluate both reach and outcomes and impact from the campaign. And with all of our materials, you know, we do ask or check in periodically for metrics. So what I've done is just asked for an estimate for how many they plan on handing out, but we would be very happy to hear back from people to make sure that we are tracking at reach as best as possible for such a widespread campaign. Next question, have you done a comparison of residential construction fall incidents by fall height between states with the OSHA fall prevention standard with a 6-foot trigger height and California where regulations have a higher trigger heights in some situations?
We had the publication, the peer-reviewed journal paper focused on falls among in the residential construction, but we do not have data by state level because we are not allowed to do that according to the BOS requirements.
Okay. Why do you think older workers are more likely to incur a fatal fall?
Well, we compare that by age group. Some of the statistics I just presented, we have more studies on that. We also have the peer-reviewed journal paper about falls among older construction workers. I will be happy to share that article also.
Has there been successful outreach to workers' comp insurers? It seems like a small number of workers, 33,000, were reached through insurers. Well, Eileen, you may have some input here as well on outreach to insurers, and I can just say that this is something that we have been, in recent years of the campaign, doing a lot more of. Initially, we didn't have too many partners, campaign partners that were insurers, and we've definitely been making a concentrated effort to involve more of them. And I think if we were to do this again, we would actually find that that number will increase or will have already increased because of our efforts. We work now with several different insurers, not only on the fall campaign, but on a number of efforts, as it is a great way to reach contractors. Oh, Eileen, you're on mute. Okay, there you go.
So if I can just add to what Jessica said, when we did the social network analysis, that was just a small number of insurance companies responded, and that's why the number is smaller. But as Jessica was saying, if we were to do the same analysis today, the number would probably be much higher. It was just at the timing of when we did this and who responded to the survey.
Next question, is there any plan to capture data on false saves to highlight the effectiveness of the campaign or faulty equipment taken out of service as a result of the false campaign? We would love to do that.
Well, yeah. So we can only say that I said that right now the data show I used the word sign of decreasing. So because the data could be different next year, that's why I said that's good news. You know, when the economy recovered and when the more activities in the construction industry, usually the rate would be also higher. But we did not see that increase, even we already saw the increase as numbers because the employment number increased. So that could be good news, and that could be the result or the impact from the ongoing National Fall Prevention Campaign. But in how that's, well, I think that's very difficult to say what is the percentage that contribute or from the campaign. It's hard to say that. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I just want to add to that from the campaign standpoint. While we have not had the opportunity or found a way to capture data on those things in any type of widespread or national level type of way, we have tried to look at case studies from just by companies that have found that they've had saves or can measure an impact from the campaign. For example, we have a success story from UCOR on their participation in the fall campaign and what they called their Walking is Working campaign that they tied into it. And so they had measurable data on these types of things, you know, incident numbers and faulty equipment and that type of thing. And so we were able to just put that on our website as an example of how the campaign was successful on a small scale within one company. We hope to do more of that. I don't know that we will be able to collect any type of national data. Another question about why numbers among older workers are so high. And again, we will send out some information about that in the additional resource links to papers. A question about proof of attendance. To anyone who needs proof of attendance, I will send you a letter once I have the report from WebEx available. But please do email me directly. The contact is on the screen, jbunting@cpwr.com, and I'll be happy to generate a letter for you.
You wanted me to answer your question? No.
Hang on. The next question is, I recently worked in the Virgin Islands as a safety manager for a roofing project. What is the good suggestion of teaching OSHA standards in environments that are culturally or operate professionally in an unstructured manner? Eileen, probably a good question for you.
That's a good question, and actually, it's one that we can follow up with our training staff to get a better answer for. But some of the things that we've been doing for smaller is trying to develop materials for smaller companies that may not have a safety, a staff person devoted to safety. We have a whole toolbox talk series. We have hazard alert cards. And in those items, we refer to different OSHA standards to try and raise awareness and then link them to additional information. So I know that's not a perfect answer to your question, but we can definitely follow up with our training staff to see if they have additional ideas that might be helpful.
Thank you. Okay. Are these fatalities happening with appropriate fall protection being used? Do you have that data, Sue?
We had an article on the protection used that using the NIOSH FACE reports. We created a database using the NIOSH FACE reports, and we analyzed the data, we published the findings, and that may include the information you are interested. I can also send these 2 papers to Jess so that Jess can distribute.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any data on older workers and the number of times they renew training, OSHA 10, fall protection training, etc.?
I don't think we have such numbers because we always have the limitation of the data sources that we can use. We have the training data, but the training data not, well, maybe we have some apprenticeship, but not say safety and health training.
Okay. Have you had success in looking at falls to independent contractors or self-employed contractors in addition to just smaller contractors?
That's for me?
Yeah, so have you looked at whether at the data of self-employed contractors?
Yeah, we have the data on self-employed. We also have the data on contractors. BLS started to collect information on the fatalities among contracted workers. I wanted to highlight the words contracted workers. That's kind of different from contractors. Contracted workers means they have employers and their employers send them to another employer or different work sites. We have numbers on that.
Okay. The CPWR looked at the underlying causes for falls amongst various trades. For example, lacking JSAs, provision of equipment, lack of training, equipment inspections, lack of code of safe practices on falls, etc.
That's for me. Well, in terms of the data, we don't have such data, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think through the campaign that we have any data on that either. Is the higher fall fatality rate of Spanish or foreign-born workers correlated to their trade, For example, do Spanish foreign-born workers, are they more likely to work as a roofer or iron worker? And those trades have higher fatal falls.
Well, generally, based on the employment data, foreign-born workers in construction, they kind of overlap with Hispanic workers. Among Hispanic workers, about 70% of Hispanic construction workers were foreign-born. We are able to break it down by Hispanic born in the U.S. and Hispanic foreign-born. And however, in the specific data report, we cannot do such details. Yes, the answer is we can do the detailed analysis, but may not be year to year due to the smaller numbers in small subgroups. We have to group or pull several years of data to do such detailed analysis because we are not allowed to report.
So we don't currently have data
right, exactly.
on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. The OSHA top 10 citation frequently involves violation of fall standards. If we could get better compliance with standards, what impact would that have on fall fatalities?
I think that's a good comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have a positive impact. I don't know how we would estimate what impact specifically, though. Could you look at the possible impact of season and time of day on the rate of falls?
Yes,
don't believe we have these data. Oh,
yes,
we have
can
that?
break it down. Right. We don't have that in this report,
okay.
But I mean, we are able to do like that by season and by a month.
So,
yeah.
When you say, Sue, that you're able to do that if somebody reached out to you, would you be able to work with them on generating that type of data?
Yeah, well, I can. If you need that, you can send the email to me, and I may do the special tabulation for you. But you have to be patient because all the findings from CPWR data we have to send to BLS for approval to share with others.
Okay. Perfect. There's actually another question that is exactly related to that regarding a connection between falls and weather conditions. Do you have weather conditions or just the time of year?
Well, we just published a paper on about the heat-related deaths among construction workers. You might find some information in that article. It's interesting. So if you need that paper, the paper is just published. I can send a copy to you.
Okay. With the industry shifting more toward penalization of walls and floors, is CPWR doing anything to address the challenges associated with fall hazards and best practices? I don't know that we have any specific materials related to penalization of walls and floors at the moment. But that is certainly something that we can look more into. Every year for the campaign, we create new materials, infographics, and we update our hazard alert cards to make sure that we're providing something new for the stand down every year. So we're always open to ideas, toolbox talks, etc.
This is Eileen. It would also be helpful if the person that answered, that asked that question, any thoughts you have on what you see as the hazards related to panelization would be very helpful.
Yeah. I believe that was our final question. If I accidentally missed your question, I apologize. Please feel free to email us or just respond to the follow-up email, which I'll send shortly, sometime within the next week or so. And we are happy to answer anything. I will try to make sure we include all of the resources that were discussed. But again, follow up if there's something specific you wanted, reach out to Sue if there's some specific data that you're interested in that we don't have available right now. And thank you, Sue, so much for presenting. Thank you, Eileen, for joining. And thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
Take care.